Hello and welcome to this episode of How to Be a Great Role Player. Now, before we start, for those of you that didn't watch the video yesterday, I'm showing off my new chainmail, my new shiny chainmail, as made for me by Jake Dane, who's a fantastic chainmail weaver. I didn't know this, they're called weavers here in South Africa, and if any of you are in South Africa and you want your own set of handmade chainmail, well, go and find him on Facebook under Jake Dane. He's the one wearing the chainmail. However, moving forward, we are looking today, as we did yesterday with GMs, we are looking today at the top 10 mistakes that I find players making time and time again, and ways in which you can avoid making them. Now, this was decided upon by discussions and a poll that we ran through our Twitter account, and you can find us on Twitter on How to GM, hashtag How to GM. It's written at the bottom of the screen just to make sure it's absolutely correct. But you can join us there. We'll be having lots of discussions and running polls as to what sort of videos we want. It's a much more immediate way of doing things. You can join us on Facebook, of course. We've got a whole bunch of groups on Facebook. And then there's Patreon and all sorts of other things that go with that. So anyway, without further ado, here we go. Our top 10 mistakes that players make. Number 1, trying to win. Trying to win. This is an imaginary game where there is no winning condition. And I know some of you are rolling your eyes going, yes, we all know there's no winning condition. But there are so many people out there who try and create this ultimate character that's completely untouchable and that can never get stuck in a situation. And that is trying to win too. A flawed character is one that you can explore, is one that you can learn about. A perfect character is not. There's no room for expansion if you're already perfect. So trying to win in the role-playing game is a mistake. Enjoy the story. Go with it. Let's see where it goes. And you're going to see that the rest of these 9 points, these 9 mistakes, feed off of the idea of you not trying to win. 2. Not communicating with your fellow players. Now, I've said this before in other videos, and I'm going to say it again. You're sitting around a table with 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, however many other players, and yet there seems to be this desire amongst players, and I have very rarely seen it otherwise, for communication to happen, to talk in character to other characters. It just doesn't happen. You guys seem to be waiting for the GM to force feed you some kind of story. Well, she's waiting for you to start role-playing. So I've seen players sitting there looking at each other, chatting about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, which is amazing, or chatting about Orville, which is amazing, or chatting about the fact that this GM has a particular penchant for science fiction TV shows that are basically Star Trek. The point of the matter is that they'll sit there talking about that kind of stuff, but you won't sit there talking about, well, we know this clue, we know that clue. What do you think? There's none of that sort of consultation process that happens. Do it. It'll be remarkable to see what you can come up with. Number 3, and this is a big one, not listening. Not listening to your fellow players when they're talking, trying to solve what it is that they're already saying before they've said it, trying to work out what they're saying in terms of how it relates to you, rather than just listening to what they're saying and then thinking about it in the context of what they've said. I know that sounds a little bit complicated, but if a player is giving you information that you already heard in a metagame kind of way, you need to listen to what the player's saying. That character is giving your character information. That's the information you have, not the metagame because you overheard the conversation that that character was having with the NPC. So we don't listen. We don't listen. We don't listen to the GM when the GM is explaining things. And that causes confusion. So in order for us to avoid that, in order for us not to get confused, in order for us to listen, we need to get clarity. And this was said on the Twitter feed. Matthew Colville and company were discussing this issue in some of their videos as well, and it was brought up again on the Twitter, is that we don't listen. we don't get clarity. We hear something, we kind of look around and we write it down, and we don't then probe it. We don't then go further to find out more. We just sort of let it sit because we don't want to look stupid. So listen and get clarity. Number 4, not reading the rules. You don't need to be a rules lawyer. I would advocate against it, as a matter of fact. You don't need to know on what page a particular rule is, because you can write it down. But you do need to know how the rules apply to your character. It's a mistake that players make as they rock up. They don't really know the system, but they sit back. Someone will explain how my character's power works. Someone will explain when I roll this what I need to add to my character, because I don't know. That's a mistake. You're literally cutting yourself out of a whole range of options that you could be using. If you understood how that bull rush works, you can then apply it. It also means that you can stay in character longer rather than during combat going, what can I do with that? Can I? Don't make that mistake. Get involved. Understand the rule system so that then when you're creating a new character, you know what's available to you as well. So don't make the mistake of not engaging with the rules. It's not only the GM who needs to know, you do too. Number 5, not engaging with NPCs. This happens all the time. There's an entire city of NPCs. You walk in, your party finds one NPC, and that's the one they talk to. They don't engage with anybody else because, well, that NPC must have given us all of the information, right? No, not in the slightest. The GM is under absolutely no obligation to have one NPC in an entire city give you all the information that you need to know. Ask different NPCs. Engage with different NPCs. It's not difficult. And you'll get more information. I guarantee it. Number 6, not outlining what you know and creating a plan. Now, creating a plan is something that, if you watched the video last week, a GM accused me of doing. He said, how dare you as a player try and come up with a plan? That's crazy. Players don't come up with plans. And if they do, it's usually only the one player who's come up with the plan and the rest of the party run off and ignore it anyway. Here I was trying to come up with a plan and getting my fellow players to buy into it so that we were working as a team. My God, what the hell was I thinking? At least that's what the GM was ranting about. And he's got a point. It's a mistake that we make, that we try and just charge in and we don't come up with exit strategies. We don't come up with entrance strategies. We don't come up with handling strategies for that matter. We don't even sit together as a team and say, well, you're a ranger, so you should probably go to the back. You're a spellcaster, so you should probably be protected by the person who's wearing heavy armor, and you should probably be... We don't even go that far. It's just chaos, bedlam, and mayhem, and then we wonder why things go wrong. So listening is important, talking is important, cooperation is key, working together. And this is all done in character. This is not done on the player-to-player level. This is done on the character-to-character level. Trust me, it's much more fun when you do it that way. Number 7. I lament number 7. Number 7 is where you don't trust your GM. Now, what do I mean by trust the GM? You are thrown into a situation that you don't like. Your characters die and are resurrected as undead. And you go, oh, no. I don't want to be an undead. I don't want to be an undead. No. Your characters are arrested and put in prison. Oh, no, I don't want to do the escape thing. No, I watched that video. No, it's not for me. I don't want to. No. You're not trusting your GM. If the story goes in a different direction to the one that you think it should go in, that's fine. Explore it. Embrace it. Unless your GM has proven time and time again that they will derail the campaign because of some silly idea, in which case they shouldn't be your GM and maybe you should step up. But you should trust your GM that when they throw you into prison, when they turn you into undead, or into leprechauns, or into rabbits, or into toadstools, that they have some kind of exit strategy. They have some kind of plan for a bigger story. You have to trust that that's what they're going to be doing. So trust your GM. And I know I'm guilty of this mistake frequently. As a player, I sit there going, oh, no, it's not going to work. No, that's a much less interesting story than if we went that way. Yeah. And as a result, I pay less attention to the GM. I start to try and force my own things to happen. And what happens is we get this interlocking mix of the GM then making mistakes because they're trying to compensate for the mistake that I made initially. So don't do it. Avoid it. Number 8. Building alone, a solo, an isolated, a depressed, a particularly stupid character. I'm not even going to make mention of this. There are a whole bunch of videos as to what I feel about people making lone characters. And yes, I'm aware that a lot of you will, in the comments below, say, well, I created a lone character who worked very well with the party. They're not a lone character. They're just an individual who happens to like to be alone, but who realize that they could work together, which by definition means that they're not a loner. They appreciate good team play. So yes, I understand that side of things. But if you are creating a character who specifically tries to work alone, or who can do everything and doesn't need the party, which is just as bad, then why are you playing? It's a mistake. Don't make it. Create a character that needs the rest of the party in order to work and that engages with the rest of the party on a regular basis. 9. Try to be involved. This is a mistake. Trying to be involved in everything. Trying to be involved is fantastic, and you should try to be involved as often as you can. Trying to be involved in everything, however, is a problem. And it frequently happens where one character, one player is really cool and really dedicated and just loves to be in the game and runs around, and the thief is over there picking the lock. Oh, I run over to the door and I help the thief pick the lock. Oh, but the barbarian is busy opening up the chest. Oh, well, I've got thieves' picks. Let me go and open up the chest for the barbarian. Oh, but the wizard is busy reading. Oh, I love reading books. And off the character runs to read the book and then runs back to the thief and then runs back to the barbarian. What are you doing? It's crazy. Unless the character's designed to be hyperactive, all you're doing is trying to steal the show from your fellow players. It's a mistake. Don't try and be involved in everything. Be involved in what your character is doing. Focus. Number 10. Number 10. Number 10 is the worst one. Not paying attention. If you've got to this part of the video, you're probably not too guilty of not paying attention. It is a mistake that we make all the time. We get distracted, someone does something, the pizza arrives, which reminds me I forgot to order pizza. Something distracts us, and then we stay distracted. That's a mistake. Pull yourself back into the game, refocus, think about how your character can be involved. Paying attention is absolutely critical. Nobody wants someone who's sitting on their iPad and they're busy reading something and they're not listening to what the GM is saying, or, and this to me is even worse, they're not listening to what their fellow players are saying because they're focused on their pad, on their palm. It was an old joke long ago. So, paying attention is critically important. Anyway, that's my list of the top 10 mistakes that I feel that players make on a far too regular basis for us not to voice our concerns. And they're fairly easy to overcome, to change our habits, and to learn from. If you agree, hit that like button. If you disagree, hit the dislike button. And leave your comments below. Add lists, add things that you feel that we make mistakes on, so we can all learn from and develop and grow. And until next time, I wish you and yours the happiest of playing.